Hello and welcome to the 91st episode of Downtime Podcast with a very kind of raspy voice Jeremy and a very peppy Alyssa. How's it going, Alyssa?
I didn't even notice you're losing your voice.
I'm recovering from last night's festivities. Just had a quick little late belated birthday party for myself with some friends and drank quite a bit. Had a slight hangover this morning, but I am okay now and my voice is a little deeper. Maybe because it's hard to tell from your end since we haven't really spoken to each other in a bit since we've both been busy. But
yeah, I might not even tell until I actually put the tracks together.
Yeah, no worries.
So the day before my birthday, I went out with friends to the bars and first we went to a cocktail place. So the cocktail place was very nice because it was one of those cocktail places where the bartenders know different types of drinks of all varieties and they actually work hard to mix your drink together, and there's a lot of unique flavors. And I'm talking about the ones where they have all the ingredients on the side and there's tongs to each one and they're just meticulously placing everything with every detail, and the bartenders can mix things with one hand and do something with the other hand, and it's one of those types of bars.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so I had a good time there, and then at midnight, me and my friend, who also this friend is 5 days before me, her birthday. So we did something at a different bar called the Stoplight.
Okay.
And we took 3 shots.
Wow.
Red, yellow, and blue. So the red shot is cranberry, the yellow shot is orange juice, and the last shot is melon, and it's vodka based.
Oh, okay.
So the idea is you take these 3 shots in succession.
That's pretty cool. Okay.
Yeah, and it sucked because actually I got my mojo ruined because I was racing my friend to finish the shots.
Oh, shit.
So I started with the green shot, which is the Midori melon shot, and it got messed up because there was a piece of plastic in my shot glass.
Ew.
Initially, when I was about to chug it, I actually thought it was a cherry. Because, sometimes there's cherries in your drinks.
Yeah.
It turns out it wasn't. But we got my set of shots for free.
Okay. That's
so
good.
It worked out.
Nice. So the Midori shot, was that just the liquor that they put in there, or was it mixed with anything else?
I think that one is the only one that was not mixed with anything else. It was just the Midori. And I think Midori's vodka based, correct?
I am not sure at all.
Yeah,
I just know that you don't really drink it straight. You just have to mix it with stuff.
Yeah. The orange juice and the cranberry one were mixed with vodka. Visibly mixed with vodka for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yes. So I had a very nice birthday week. Very good birthday week.
Me too. Went to Korean barbecue last night. After that, we hit up a bar, tiki bar. Had your standard tiki drinks, but they had bowls as well. For those of you that don't know, bowls are basically an enormous amount of alcohol mixed into one large container, and then everyone just has straws and they drink from it.
And typically it's like a fruit mix too.
Yeah, and we ended up having 4 of them. Not at the same time. We got them 2 at a time. Mm-hmm. And one of them was an AMF. Well, technically they're all AMFs, but this one was designated the worst one of the bunch because it's supposed to get you really messed up, and that's what happened. We drank basically 4 AMFs, with one of them being the worst, and we got pretty messed up.
Hey!
Even though we ate a lot at Korean barbecue, because in the US, Korean barbecue is mostly all you can eat. You pay $20-something bucks, and you get to eat as much meat as you want for a certain amount of time. In our case, it was 2-hour limit, and we just ate as much Korean barbecue as we could until all of our tummies were full. And then we moved on to drinking, which is good because, as you know, it's not good to drink on an empty stomach. And we didn't because our bellies were so full of Korean barbecue, like basically protein and rice, that we were like, all right, this like drinking alcohol is not a problem now. And then we got full from the alcohol while we were already trashed. And then we end up going back to my place, drinking more, ordering a large pizza, extra large pizza, like eating all of that, even though we just ate, like, it was insane. We got the drunchies like really badly.
Basically living your best life.
No, for real though. Like, hey, we're getting older. Let's eat more. It was great. It was fun. I had a great birthday weekend, which was awesome.
Did you know that in Korea, when you have barbecue, if it's an all-you-can-eat place, it's mostly in the international areas. But if you have Korean barbecue the way that it's done in Korea, you order by the plate. The waitress or the server usually grills it for you, and you're supposed to wrap your meat with lettuce, any sort of lettuce wrap, green wrap, and you can put things like garlic pieces in it and all that stuff. So long story short, it is way healthier than the shit that's here in the US, which is just a protein overload.
And so they actually did offer lettuce, and we did get lettuce wraps for our meat. So some Korean places in the US do offer that, but I'd say most don't. But most are trying to like emulate that and imitate that in some way. So we did get the lettuce wraps, which was a nice touch. All
very
included.
nice.
Yeah, and I want to go back. That place is so good. I just want to go back. And I was telling Alyssa before we started that one of the best things about this Korean barbecue place in particular was that the vents were inside the grill. So usually when you go to a Korean barbecue spot, you end up, leaving the place smelling like it. In our case, we didn't smell like it at all since the vents were below the grill instead of on top of it. And because usually if there's a vent on top, that means the smoke has to go somewhere, and usually it'll go up, and that means that the whole room and the whole place will be clouded with smoke and smells like Korean barbecue, which it did. Walking out to the place did smell like it, but that's only because the vents at the top of the building were filtered through the bottom of each grill, and so that was a nice little feature that I liked a lot, and so I want to go back there and eat again.
Yeah, especially so you don't smell like sesame oil when you because whenever you go to any sort of all-you-can-eat barbecue place, you smell like the sauce.
Yeah.
And a lot of the marinades are sesame-based.
So good.
So good, though.
Yeah.
Congrats on being another year older.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. We made it.
Yeah, we're here.
We're here. We did it.
We made it 27 years without dying. So, speaking of birthdays, my brother got me a Hat in Time for my birthday on Steam, which...
Oh, shoot!
Yeah, I've been looking forward to this game, as I mentioned before. I was originally going to get it on PS4, but... I have the game now, and it really doesn't matter what I play it on. I have a controller for my PC, so I'll just plug that in. But, yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. Another thing that I'm adding to my queue... I have a list of games I'm trying to complete by this whole year. Some of them haven't come out yet. Some of them are already released. And because I've been on this GameCube binge, it's been hurting my schedule a bit, to say the least.
Hey, let it be.
Yeah, just like the Beatles song.
Yep.
Oh, well. But I'm looking forward to this overall. So I'll be talking about A Hat in Time more once I start it. But for now, just know that it's on my list of things to do, things to play while I'm suffering playing this awesome game.
Oh, yes.
So shout out to my brother Jordan. He's been on the podcast before for getting this cool game. Hopefully I can start it as soon as I finish Okami, which I'll go into later.
Awesome. I forgot to mention this on the previous podcast, but I have Spider-Man now through GameFly.
Nice.
I haven't played it yet, which I should actually play since I'm actually paying a subscription for this. But
yeah,
it's been off to the side, and I do want to try it out soon just because it is part of GameFly. I'm excited to see, especially since all this Spider-Man stuff's been coming up and Far From Home has been announced recently too. So feels like the Spider-Man hype train is still going from last year.
Oh wow, yeah, that's awesome. I like the nice touch I like about the Spider-Man game is that they have Spidey suits from different eras, and one of them that was released last year in December was one from Into the Spider-Verse. So
and I like that outfit too.
Yeah, so you get to play with that, which I think is awesome.
I don't know. I don't know exactly how to get the costumes yet, just because I haven't played it. But I want to get the 1950s Spider-Man costume.
Oh yeah, that looks so cool.
Yeah, I heard that's a thing, and I'm gonna make it a thing in my game as well.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll take full use of all the screenshots.
Oh yeah. Which, by the way, screenshots are becoming a more prominent thing, like a almost staple required thing in video games now. There's a trophy, I think, in Kingdom Hearts where you have to take selfies with different people or the different characters that you meet in the different worlds, something like that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure there was some related one in Yakuza 6 too.
That's pretty cool. There's something like that, but I think it's a cool feature. I definitely used it a lot when I was playing the Yakuza games, and I never really shared it with anyone. It was more like, this looks like
fun.
a nice
It's
photo.
A memory keeper.
Yeah, and I could occasionally go through and look at the things that I took pictures of, but for the most part, I had no intention of sharing the photos with anyone or just posting it online anywhere. I just wanted to, have fun taking photos.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so I think that this feature should be included in I wouldn't say every game, but most games where it feels appropriate.
Yeah.
So Cyberpunk 2077, I feel like that's definitely going to have a photography feature of some point.
Yeah. It's oh my god, it's like a medieval game. Taking a selfie. It's like, hey, wait a minute.
It's like a Kingdom Come Deliverance. It's like what is that you're holding? How dare you?
How dare.
Yeah. But I do like the screenshot feature overall. Even if it doesn't involve a phone like in the Yakuza games. Even in like Spider-Man or Red Dead, there's the screenshot mode which you can go into at any point and just take beautiful photos, make a new desktop background for your computer, share it online, etc., etc.
All the good.
I remember that at some point someone posted a picture of the area in Grand Theft Auto 5 that had the Ferris wheel. I honestly don't know the real name of that. Santa Monica Pier, I believe, is the name.
Santa Monica Pier is the actual name.
Right. I don't remember what the GTA equivalent name was, but in GTA 5 you could do screenshots, obviously. And so someone took a picture of the pier in the game and took the exact same photo of the same at the same angle in real life, and they were comparing the two. And it's like, which one's the game, which one's real life? And I was like, wow, Rockstar did a really good job at making the colors and just everything about the game look realistic. So I thought that was a nice touch.
For sure.
But yeah, no, screenshots are good. Share with everyone. There's some funny things you can get out of all of that.
I know. I like how a lot of games have made NPCs recognize the camera now. So if you do take a selfie or just take a picture of them, they'll actually look at the camera and smile.
Or get angry and yell at you.
Yeah, that too. Can't impede on people's privacy, people.
For real though, why are you taking a picture of me? Spider-Man.
Looking at you.
Yeah. So what have you been playing recently?
Oh, I've only been playing Stardew Valley right now.
Sounds about right. I see you're logged into Steam sometimes. I'm like, I know what she's gonna play, and then it pops up like, you're playing Stardew Valley. I'm like, haha, nice.
Since we last talked, I finished year 1, and now I've finished year 2. It's been wonderful. I'm getting more used to farming now, and although my farm still sucks, I'm slowly figuring out how I should conduct my farm and what my layout should be. It's still a little bit difficult just because my farm is in a river area, but I think I can make these changes in winter of year 3. Winter of year 3 winter sucks because you just can't farm anything. But what's nice about winter is you can use it as an opportunity to change the layout of anything in your farm.
Right, because you have that like window where nothing really happens.
Exactly. I have to make a living. I have to be the best farmer. It's true. My farming proficiency, so whenever you level up every 5 levels, you get a new skill added to you. So my farming proficiency now, artisan goods are 40% more profitable, which is great for me because I invested in all of these machines.
Good.
Yes, and my fishing proficiency is also really good, so I can capture shellfish and stuff now with I have a trapper, which is like a cage where you dip it in the ocean or in the river, and it will lure crawfish and shellfish in. So I have that going for me now. And I actually did co-op a little bit, and it was great.
How was that?
The co-op was really awesome. I visited Brandon's farm, who's been on the podcast, and he's also visited my farm, and we were mining together because I hate mining. Mining fucking sucks. I don't like mining in Minecraft or Terraria or this game. I just don't like it. And it was cool because when you have 2 farmers, like if your farms has a lot of animals, they can help you get all the products. Oh, sorry, really random. Speaking of the animals, I also have a machine now called an auto collector, which means that I don't have to individually go to each animal and collect their milk. It will automatically collect it for me each morning.
Oh, that's cool.
It's a game changer. An absolute game changer.
Nice. I feel like that's something that, a lot of farming simulator games have.
Yeah.
Something that auto does something for you, because there comes a certain point where you're like, all right, I've been grinding so hard to do this every day by myself manually. And then now you're like, oh, hey, I could do this by hand. Or I could do this like automatically,
Yes,
That's so
exactly.
Cool.
It's the best. It's so awesome. Oh my God. It's amazing.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, go. You can go first.
I was gonna say, I that's what I just love about these life simulation games in general, is like there comes a point where you're like, I'm tired of doing this, and then they just throw something at you that you didn't realize was there the whole time. You're like, holy crap, I don't have to do this anymore. Something else will do it for me.
I know, you can work on something else. It's amazing.
Yeah. And I'm glad that they do that, because they introduce it in a way where it's like, oh, I have to literally do everything by hand, like in the 1800s,
Yep.
When like, oh crap, no, this is 2019. You could do this just by pressing a button.
I know. Oh man, I love a lot of the automatic stuff that happens in this game. So good.
Yeah, exactly.
I've also decided not to marry anyone right now in this game because holy shit, I don't want to succumb myself. I'm a self-sufficient farmer who's trying to live my life, and if I have to have babies and give you gifts every day, I can't do it. So
yeah, no to the gifts.
No to the gifts. That's annoying. Like, come on.
Like, why do I need to give you a gift to make you happy? Why can't my presence just make you happy?
I know. Exactly. Jesus.
Before I'm giving you a roof over your head.
Exactly. You wouldn't have this without me.
Yeah, so true.
The last moment I have to share is a special moment, a special event. And what I did was, there is a secret forest in this game, and the secret forest, you have to have like a nice axe to activate it. And I have a gold axe, and you have to take off a piece of hardwood. and then you have access to this dark garden forest where you can get hardwood, which is a different type of wood, which is way better and sturdier. And there's a statue of a bear or something, which, by the way, I thought was an orangutan at first. It turns out it's not an orangutan, it's a bear. Anyways,
Okay.
Anyways, so what you do is you bring maple syrup to this statue, and then I have a screenshot that I can share, but legit a bear comes out, and the bear will then boost up your foraging skill, and it was great. Great because I was just like, holy shit, there's a fucking bear. And yeah, it was awesome.
Wow, that's insane.
Yes, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. And that's it. That's all I have to say about Stardew Valley.
Oh, wow. I always say this, but I need to get into that game, but with a hat in time on my table and all this GameCube stuff going on, I don't think I can get into it anytime soon. And plus,
I mean, like, if you get into it, you're basically gonna spend like 40 hours. It's a job.
Yeah, it's. I don't want to commit yet. I don't feel like I want to commit. I just like the whole on and off thing right now.
Yeah.
And I get that, you're committed, Alyssa, and I respect that a lot. It's just once I start trying something, then I'm addicted. It's like doing drugs, It's just like you have a little bit, you're like, nah, I'm good. And then you're like, what? That one time was really fun. And you go back, you have it. You're like, oh crap, now I'm addicted and my whole life is ruined. What did I do? That's how I feel.
I'm not addicted by choice.
Oh, I'm doing it. I'm talking about myself. not you. I know you're fine.
Like, I'm addicted. I didn't expect this to happen either.
There you go. Hey, stuff happens.
Yep, pretty much.
Well, I mean, again, I mentioned this on a previous podcast. Like, it's how I felt about Yakuza 0. I didn't expect it to be such an amazing game, and then when I started playing it, I got addicted, and I was like, I can't stop thinking about this video game. Holy crap! And then I do want to feel that again for another video game, but I also don't because it sucks up my entire life, and I'm like, what the hell do I do? This game is over.
I know. I need to move my. The good news is there's just nothing coming out for me, really. Anytime soon. So
I feel it.
Yeah. Which is great. But yeah, I definitely have I have a few console games from the pipeline of 2018 that I want to finish. Spider-Man, obviously one of them, and then God of War, which I want to pick up because I feel like I'm 15 hours away from finishing the game. I'm like halfway, I think. So it's one of those things now. It's like, okay, I'm close. And then I can wrap up 2018 completely.
Yeah.
So I'll probably focus on that for the remainder of this month and March, just so that I have a clean slate for everything.
I want to introduce a little segment called Cube Corner, where I talk about GameCube games specifically and kind of a little history on them. Because it's something that I hold near and dear to my heart, as the GameCube is probably my favorite console of all time, as indicated by my recent flurry of picking up GameCube games. But, in today's little Cube Corner segment, I want to talk about a game that's called Gun, capital G-U-N. Came out in 2005, I believe. And it's by Activision, published by Activision, and developed by this company called Neversoft. And the game follows a cowboy by the name of Colton Cole White, and he is a skilled marksman living in the year 1880 in the American Old West. I have to say, finding stuff about this game is hard online because when you type in something that you have to do in the game, for example, like dual wielding in gun, like a lot of search results, talk about stuff in either real life or in other video games, because when you have a game called Gun, it's kind of hard to talk about firearms in the game within the naming context, since, oh boy, yeah, you don't want to talk about guns for the game Gun because it just gets confusing. I wish they named it something else, but I do like that the title is unique in a sense, but I do wish that there was a different name that this went under. Yeah, so the game came out in '05. You follow a cowboy who must avenge his father. There's some pretty prominent people in here, voice actor wise, that I heard did a really good job and moved on to other stuff. But probably the most recognizable name in this is Ron Perlman, and he plays a secondary.
Really?
Yeah, he plays a secondary bad guy in the game, and he lends his voice very well.
Wow.
Yeah,
He was Punisher before.
yeah. So he definitely has that bad guy video game voice. So you fight Native Americans, you fight mostly Native Americans, but also, I mean, in the beginning of the game at least, but there's also your fair share of the regular bad guy cowboys that you must fight. So there's combat on horse. You choose different rifles and shotguns and pistols, and it kind of feels like a Red Dead Redemption prior to Red Dead Redemption. Like it's an open world setting. You have to like travel on horse from town to town. There's classic cowboy things of like, stopping trains, robbing people, fighting for the good, standoffs, stuff like that. So it definitely feels like a
Are you
Western
an
game.
outlaw? Like, what's your standing as a cowboy? Are you an outlaw or are you good?
You're kind of in the gray area because at one point you become a deputy, but then you kind of go against that. And so it's kind of hard to explain from a moral perspective, since you fight for the good, but you're also a bad guy in a sense. Basically, you're just trying to find the guy that killed your father, and from a third person perspective, that person, the guy that you're trying to kill, could be a good guy because he runs all this stuff, but of course they portray him to look like a bad guy since he does the classic bad guy thing of like killing his own henchmen for failing him, stuff like that. So you're playing a anti-hero in a sense. You only have one goal and you'll do anything to get to that one goal, but your character is morally good for the most part, but when he needs to kill, he'll kill.
Got it.
Yeah.
And why are you attacking Native Americans? Did they kill your father?
No, they're attacking you because you took their land, or they assume that you took their land because you're a white guy, you're a Caucasian male in this game, and the Native Americans are like, "Oh, you're trespassing on our territory." And then from the beginning of the game, it kind of made them seem like they're a secondary villain conclave, since they start attacking you for no reason during some points of the game. You're like, "Oh, well, got to kill them." And then while the bad guys have a clear motive, they're like, "There he is, let's kill him. He killed our men," or something. So, yeah, there's this whole like level of difficulty when it comes to the enemies, because the more missions you do, the more your notoriety gets known, and the faster the bad guys will see you, the more health they have, etc., etc. So everything scales up as you get more and more upgrades. So there's like, along with the main quest, there's little side missions you could do, as in every open world game, where you find certain people, they'll tell you to do something, you get money for it. So for example, there's a Native American guy, and he's like, "Oh, hey, I need you to help hunt these animals for me because they've been terrorizing our villages." And you go help him, you get like $10 to $15 per kill. There's also wanted poster missions where you see a wanted poster on the side of a building. You can select it. Cole will read the wanted poster out loud. He'll say like, "Oh, looking for so-and-so. They attacked a prominent congressman," or something like that. And it's up to you to go out into the world and find that guy and then kill him. So they could either be stationary, like hiding in a fortress, like a small fort, or they could be on horseback riding around. You have to go find them and then kill them. So you could use different like weapons, as I mentioned before. You can use different rifles, pistols, shotguns, bow and arrow, explosives, like from Molotov cocktails to TNT. It's pretty cool. I like the game overall so far.
Wow, there's TNT.
Yeah, classic cowboy weapon, you know?
Classic detonation weapon.
Oh, yeah, totally. I've always wanted to play this game growing up, but I didn't have a chance. One, because I was too young when the game came out. My parents wouldn't let me play this game. Two, I didn't know it came out on GameCube. And three, I just wasn't really interested until now when I realized, oh, this game looks really cool. I remember seeing all these reviews on G4 about it when G4 was still around. And people were talking about how Gun is like the most innovative and realistic open world cowboy shooter that's ever come out for its time. Of course, until Red Dead came out. But yeah, no, I it's definitely pre-Red Dead. It feels like, it could be a part of the Red Dead franchise, but it's definitely something that stands on its own. It sold really well overall. And yeah, no, I really like this game, and I want to keep playing it. I'll finish it probably in the next week or so.
This was a great segment.
Oh, thank you. Yeah,
I'll do my best. It was fun learning about this.
Yeah, no worries. I'm gonna try to have a little Cube Corner segment every other podcast when I start a new GameCube game and finish it, because as I mentioned before,
definitely.
There's a bunch of games here, from like the Pikmin series to Sonic Adventure to Jedi Outcast. I mean, all these games that I love so much. I just want to talk about them and kind of preserve the history of these games, since GameCube games are unique in the sense that they come from a time when Nintendo was trying to prevent piracy, but also stand out in the gaming world, because they use like mini optical discs that only hold like 1.5 gigabytes of information, and so everything looks compressed when it comes to certain bigger games like Gun, for example. The textures and everything else look kind of blockier on the GameCube version, since the company had to reduce the size and compress all the files to make them look appropriate, but also run appropriately on the GameCube. But yeah, no, I want to continue talking about games like this and future GameCube titles, since I think maybe some people might be interested in that, and so we'll see. We'll see where this goes.
I can't wait for the next segment. I'm really curious which one you're gonna choose next.
There's I have like 30 games to choose from, so you'll hear from something once I finish.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so that's been Cube Corner. What I've actually been playing is Okami, as I mentioned. Trying to finish that, hopefully soon. I'm just gonna like run through it. Like, I want to like stop and smell the flowers, but at the same time, I want to finish the game because I think the story is really unique and interesting. But yeah, and after that, I'm gonna start A Hat in Time, because man, that game is so cute, and I love platformers.
It's pretty adorable looking, for sure.
Yeah, I already installed it on my computer. Like the day that my brother sent it to me, which was my birthday, I just installed it that night. I was like, I gotta play this sometime soon because it's so cute. Moving on to gaming news, the Nintendo Direct that came out this month actually came out on my birthday, and I didn't really have a chance to watch the whole thing, but I did follow up with the highlights.
Yeah, I saw a lot of the highlights, and a lot of gaming announcements of like things I never knew existed. For example, Super Mario Maker 2. I never knew there was a Super Mario Maker 1.
Oh,
and I didn't know that you could make your own Super Mario platforms and levels.
Yeah, no. When that first came out for the Switch, I was not for the Wii U. No, sorry, not the Switch. When it first came out for the Wii U, I was actually surprised that they were going to even make more Mario games in that sense, since basically everyone already made their own levels. And I think that was the thing that the developers of the 2D Mario series were talking about, was like they kind of ran out of ideas, and because they kind of used up all these different levels already that they had in mind, and so they kind of handed all those tools to the community. And it did so well, and it kind of brought the Wii U sales back up a little bit, but not too much, since the Wii U was kind of a failing console from the beginning. Needless to say, everyone was wondering, where's Super Mario Maker on the Switch? And lo and behold, everyone thought they were going to be porting the first one over to the Switch. No, they were quiet about it because they were making a sequel.
Hey!
So there's a bunch of new tools and features in the game that that we'll see when it comes out in June. Another big announcement from the Nintendo Direct was Zelda Link's Awakening got a remaster. So the game came out in 1993, and now they are bringing it onto the Switch with enhanced graphics and sprites and all this other stuff. So it looks really good. I personally didn't play that game. One, because I was too young, and two, because Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, Wind Waker, those games came out when I was growing up, and I didn't really play the older ones, except for number 1, the first Legend of Zelda game that came out in '86. I didn't play it, of course, until I was a little bit older. I'd say around like 7 or 8, because our dad, he bought the NES back in the day, and he handed the console to my brother and I when we were growing up, and so we became the owners of it. And actually, that very console sits underneath my TV next to my dad's Sega Genesis. So yeah, it's really cool that my brother and I have the first Legend of Zelda game on a cartridge form. Although we don't really play that system overall, it's really cool to have a piece of history in a plastic container in a sense.
Are they going to remake every Zelda?
Everyone's speculating that's the plan, but since all the Zelda games are pretty much available on almost every Nintendo platform, it doesn't really make sense to do it. But I welcome the whole thing being remade. I mean, it seems like they're going to be remaking all the Resident Evil games, since they did that with 1, now 2, and they're saying that if 2 does well, they're going to do it with 3.
And 2 seems to be doing well right now.
Yeah, it's the right mix of horror and action that I think everyone's been looking for, and it definitely has the right essence.
Yeah, they're really capitalizing on the success of 7, and just bringing back old Resident Evil classics that no one's played yet.
I mean, at the end of the day,
this generation, I mean.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, it's nostalgia. The nostalgia brings the money in, hence why we get all these remakes and all these remakes of movies. First of all, so yeah, nostalgia sells. Nostalgia definitely brings in the money. So I welcome it when it comes to video games. Like I think that remasters and remakes are good, because they introduce the game to a whole new audience that's never played it before or didn't know it existed. So, like, for example, Kid Icarus Uprising, when it came out on the 3DS, people are like, what's Kid Icarus? Is it that guy from the Smash games? Like, oh, yeah, no, it is. So now there's a new game, and, people can enjoy it. So I think that's really cool that studios are continuing to remaster games, and Nintendo's no angel when it comes to these kinds of things, but they definitely know how to do it right.
For sure.
Also, Tetris 99 was announced and released on the same day, which is basically Tetris Battle Royale.
And I've seen some videos on it.
Yeah, me too. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. I really don't care, to be honest.
I low-key want to play it because I feel like... I feel like I'm decent at Tetris, but I am curious how I stack up against other people in this setting.
Yeah, I want to see how my brother does, because he's also pretty good.
Yeah, I feel like I can beat a lot of people, but we'll see. I don't got a Switch, so...
And I also don't have Nintendo Online, because apparently it's only for Nintendo Online Switch users.
Ah, okay.
That it's free to play, at least. Since I'm not a subscriber, I don't think I can download it, and I really don't have an interest anyway, so there's no point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then something from your list on gaming news, Fire Emblem Three Houses was announced with a release date for
July 26th.
That's correct. A lot of people are looking forward to this game, so we'll see what happens when it comes out. It definitely looks good. I'm not a huge fan of the series overall, but knowing the characters from Smash definitely feels cool that there's there's an audience for this series, since people didn't really know what this series was about when Super Smash Bros. Melee came out. But Super Smash Bros. Melee had Marth and Roy, and people are like, oh, who are these two swordsmen? What games did they come from? Fire Emblem, what's Fire Emblem? And now we have more and more Fire Emblem games coming out. So it's cool that there's an audience for this series.
The tactical JRPG genre is definitely a little bit, not, I wouldn't say it's a niche genre, but it's a very popular one. And that's going to be successful. And
absolutely,
I've noticed a lot of people are playing Wargroove right now, including myself, as the current tactical game. So that they at least have this on Steam to pull them over while waiting for the next Fire Emblem, at least for Nintendo Switch users.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. Catherine Full Body comes out on September 3rd. As I've reported on previous podcasts, it's the original Catherine game with one new storyline added and a new character, which I've read articles about how there's a leak that it might be a controversial character, but we can't really say anything until it actually gets released. So we'll see about that.
That's like far into the year.
Yeah. It was originally going to come out in Q1, but I mean, I don't mind. I never mind if a game is delayed if they're like working on translating or anything like that.
Yeah, I'd rather they take their time than rush something.
Yeah, like translating can take a while, especially context and idioms. So, like for example, like the Yakuza fandom on Reddit is really impatient when it comes to waiting for Yakuza games, and I'm just like, Sega has always been very clear and transparent about translating and how it takes a while, and you guys are very impatient and you need to calm down.
Yeah, the Yakuza fans are a very passionate group of fans, and to your point, the Sega official Reddit account is very active on the Yakuza subreddit, and they always post things kind of like at the same time they're announced on Twitter or just in general from Sega. So if a translation of a project gets announced, like, oh, let's say for example, like Project Judge Eyes is coming to the US and it's called Judgment without an E, and then it gets posted to the subreddit directly from Sega, which I think is cool. But the audience is not very forgiving.
Yeah, it's like, you know for a fact that you're going to get at least one Yakuza game each year, which has happened since 2016. So, if you know that already, then just expect something to happen at least once a year, and don't keep bothering them. They're doing their work. They've said they're doing their work. Like, I don't know what other answer you want.
Yeah, and when it's ready, they'll announce it. They'll talk about it. But just stop. Don't put your pitchforks down and just wait.
Yeah, exactly. If you notice the pattern that a Yakuza game comes out every fall, then I'm assuming that's the pattern. So just wait it out.
So with that, we're expecting the announcement of a English translation of Yakuza 3 to come. That because it was recently released in Japan last year, I believe, and so basically a remaster on PS4. So we're just waiting to see if that remaster comes to the West.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm excited. I hope that 3, 4, and 5 come out, this year, next year, and then 2021.
Yeah, man, hype is real. I'm excited to play 3. If I'm impatient, I'm gonna just play the PlayStation 3 version.
There you go.
Yeah. Essentially, I don't think there's anything added. It's not like a Kiwami. It's just a remaster. So it's not like I'm waiting for much else except for a PlayStation 4 port.
Yeah. In my case, I don't mind waiting since I've already waited this long and I'm pretty much caught up on the story. So anything between that is just kind of a filler for me.
Yeah, for sure. Some fun news, since you were talking about Nintendo earlier, there was a record-breaking Nintendo Super Mario Brothers game that was sold, and it was sold for, let me get the price, it was sold for $100,150, and it's an unopened 1985 copy.
Wow, why was it so expensive? Just because it was sealed?
Sealed and mint. Most likely.
Huh. I wonder where that came from.
I closed the article, so I'm not sure, but definitely you can just look it up. Basically $100K.
Wow.
I know.
That's crazy. So hey, if you're listening and you have a sealed copy of an NES game, make sure it's something that might get you a lot of money. So like Legend of Zelda, if you have it sealed.
You never know. You never know.
Yeah. Because honestly, I've been like doing a lot of my own research when it comes to purchasing retro games, since I mentioned this on a couple previous podcasts. Right now it's really hot to collect NES, SNES, and N64 games because there's gonna be a point where they're gonna be really expensive, and they're already climbing up that path. And for me, I'm becoming more of a GameCube collector, I'd say, overall, since I'm looking for just games that I want to play, not the whole GameCube library, but there's quite a few games on my list that either I didn't play growing up but I wanted to, or that I just want to play for the first time that I didn't know existed. For example, there's a game called Geist, which is a first-person shooter where you play this paranormal soldier and you become a ghost at some point. And I didn't know that was a game until I started doing more research and, purchasing more GameCube games. I was like, oh crap, that game is actually super cheap. I actually want to pick it up and see what it's like. So I will talk about that on a future Cube Corner segment. But yeah, I just think that when it comes to collecting games and selling games, it's really good to know how much they go for. So websites like Price Charting are a good example. So there's quite a few games in the Mario Party series on the GameCube that run for like $30 to $40. And this is just for the game itself. Like brand new is way more expensive, but also CIB, which stands for complete in box. That means it comes with the manual, the game disc, and the case. Those prices are kind of in between a loose game, which is loose meaning that it's just the game disc or just the cartridge itself, not the whole box. There are people on eBay, of course, who sell the boxes for every game, which is nice, literally just the case. And there are also people that make custom cases. So, for example, there's a website called customgamecase.com, and they make their own N64, GBA, NES, SNES cases. You can buy them for like $3 or $4 a pop, and they'll produce them for you. Yeah, they'll produce them for you, and then they'll ship it to you. And now that there's collectors out there who have no cases at all for their N64 games, because back in the day, you really as a kid, you don't really care about the boxes. You're like, I just want to play the game, and you just throw the case out. But now it's a hot ticket to have the case or just own the case in general, or better yet, own a sealed copy of a game, because those game prices are only going to go up for retro games.
Like, even if they don't really care about the case, they're really trying to make sure that it's in such a good quality and pristine quality, like a very untouched look to it. It just adds to the price if you can get all of that, all your eggs in one basket.
It's why, like, the guys that open the Magic the Gathering cards from the 90s, like, use white gloves when they open these cases, because these cards are like so expensive. Some of them are, but they're just old as hell, and so you want to be careful when you're handling things like that.
It's true.
I mean, I really don't care because these cases, when they come to me from eBay or from like Craigslist or something, I expect them to be kind of dirty. I expect the discs to be a little scratched, but the good thing about the GameCube is their disc can be like scratched as hell, but you'll still be able to read it because the GameCube has a really nice and good like laser sensor, and so I think that's really cool how all the games that I have on my shelf now, I believe, are playable since, despite all the scratches, it's still good. And there were some games I really didn't take care of as a kid, and owning some GameCube games, because I would like, something you should never do is like stack the games in one case, like that, meaning like you put the original game in the case, and then if you don't have a case for the other game, you just like put it in the same slot. But that section isn't meant to hold two games. Not that it's going to make them stuck, but it's going to make one looser and like fall out. And one of my games is really scratched, but it's still playable, which is nice. So what I'm trying to say is take care of your games, kids.
So another layoff in the gaming industry.
Sad news.
A little bit of a shady I mean, all layoffs are shady, but this one was interesting. So 800 employees were fired or let go from Activision Blizzard, even though they, quote, achieved record results in 2018. And the Bobby Kotick, the CEO, mentioned that, and pretty much the way that how Blizzard looks to stakeholders is really good and has a lot of value, but they had to lay people off. Now, what's being uncovered is potentially the amount of money spent, profit made, all that business mumbo jumbo. Bobby Kotick may have taken more money for himself than he should have, and to balance out the profit and to balance the value to stakeholders, it was either cut his paycheck or cut other employees, and he did the latter.
Right.
As you know, the Telltale fiasco happened, and it brought the idea of maybe it's time to unionize gamers and video game developers, everyone in this industry. And if this is proven that he really did cut people just so that he could keep his paycheck, even though they've achieved record results, then we really do have an issue. And it is about time that gamers can unionize in the United States.
So maybe it's not true that they have record results. I mean, right now they're struggling to keep the Overwatch audience alive because Overwatch as a title made so much money for the past couple of years, but once the Battle Royale thing got super popular, everyone kind of left Overwatch to play Battle Royale games.
Yeah.
And it's hard to stay relevant within a video game. Like, for example, TF2, Team Fortress 2 on Steam, that game is timeless. I think that they're always going to add something new to it, something fresh to keep it alive. Even though it's not going to be a Battle Royale thing, it might be a mod that someone makes, but officially from Valve, like, they're always going to add something to make it fun and playable and people will come back to do. But I think for the most part, yeah, I wish Blizzard kind of handled this a lot better. But right now, of course, they're called Blizzard Activision, and a lot of people are saying, like, pre-2008 is when Blizzard was shown the best, because after that, when Activision bought Blizzard, it kind of went downhill from there. But they did release a lot of really good games. Like, I'm not saying that this is my own opinion. I'm just telling you that a lot of people do feel the way that Activision Blizzard is the way it is now because of the whole buyout situation. But overall, I just feel like maybe it was a good thing, maybe it was a bad thing. At the end of the day, people got hurt, and that sucks. But I do hope they find new jobs soon.
Yeah, and a lot of the gaming industry is rallying up to make sure that a lot of the people who got laid off have jobs.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah, so hopefully it all works out for those 800 employees. Never trust companies is really the moral of the story. Just always keep your guard up.
Yeah, no.
Never stan a company. Don't stan a company. Stan the people who created the game.
No, for real. And this kind of broadens out to not just the gaming industry, but just working in general. I mean, I know there are quite a few people that listen to the podcast that do have working jobs. And coming from both Alyssa and I's personal experiences, we can tell you that even though a company might say they value you, they really don't. And you're just a number on their spreadsheet. So,
yeah.
Even though you might seem like a quote unquote family, yeah, but your real family are your friends and your actual immediate family and your extended family.
Never be afraid to be greedy for yourself in your career, because the company is going to also be greedy and they're only going to look out for their best interests. So the best thing that you can do for yourself in life is to look out for your best interest and to be selfish.
Yeah. Also, make yourself valuable. Make yourself an asset. Make yourself make yourself put into a position where the company will say that they need you, and there comes a point where you can do that, and once you do that, they can't really let you go, or they'll try to make you stay. And it's at that point where you have to decide on your own. Do you really want to stay at this company? Do you really feel like it's fulfilling to you to move on? Do you want more money? There's always going to be these things that come up that kind of help you decide which direction that you want to go in.
Definitely.
And I think that whoever's listening needs to take this to heart, because again, you're just a number on a spreadsheet, and you have to look out for what's best for you at the end of the day. And sometimes working for the same place might not be what's best for you. Sometimes you might want to move on to something that's a little bit more fulfilling, from a career perspective. Maybe it's more money. Maybe it's a better location. Maybe it's better within the job of what you're doing. Maybe it's, fulfilling in a sense that you can do something that's not monotonous, or something that makes you feel a little bit more alive, or gives you more time to do other things that you want. Because I'm a strong believer in the 60-40 rule, meaning that some people like to say, 50-50, like 50% of my life is my job, 50% of my life is my social life outside of my job. But I think that you should prioritize your social life and your basically your life outside of the job more than your work life. I think that 60% of your life should be mostly your friends, your family, activities that you want to do outside of work, and 40% should be your job.
I think it should be 70-30. Or
hey,
even 80-20.
I like that too. I like that too. I honestly, I like that too. I say 60-40, but I feel 80-20.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I hope someone that just listened to our little talk got something out of it. I just think it's important to do things that you love in life and not worry about the small things, especially since
Don't worry about work.
Yeah, since Elise and I just had our birthdays, I was kind of just thinking about and reflecting on the things that brought me here, to this day, and how video games have been a huge part of, coming home from work and relaxing and pulling up a game and just getting sucked into that world and not worrying about other outside stuff.
The more that you don't prioritize work, oddly enough, the mentality makes you more efficient in general, in my opinion, and makes you more valued. Because if you tell people who need you that you have to leave at 5:30, they're gonna be like, "Oh shit, really? Well, crap. I guess I need to figure this out sooner than later."
Yeah, you do what's best for you and what's right for you and what you feel like makes more sense to you.
And the last piece of news that we have is that CEO of PlayStation, Shawn Layden, had a press conference, and he pretty much, I don't know why, but Sony just has been really trying hard to justify why they pulled out of E3. Like, I swear they've had like 5 different people speak out on this in the past 6 months. And then so finally he's one of the new people who has spoken about it. And long story short, he explains that they pulled out of E3 because they feel like E3 is no longer an industry networking event for partners, developers, retailers, and everything. And eventually they may go back to E3, but they're not going to do it right now. So to really translate it, pretty much E3 being turned into a public event turned PlayStation off.
So I just want to get your quick thoughts on this, Lisa. How does this make you feel since you were someone that attended E3 and saw it firsthand?
So if you recall me talking about E3 back in 2017, it really did feel like a regular con. And there was a lot of gamers and fans, really, like very typical Comic-Con, AXS, like anything you can think of, people pushing each other, like for free stuff. It was really one of those types of events, and really it was hard to find people who worked for the companies and talk to them and network. And there was a network, and the thing is, they did create a networking app, but I have a feeling that it just really, since it was the first time that they had the networking app, it wasn't figured out. It was really hard to meet people, and the reception wasn't even that great either. I didn't feel confident in E3 the year that I attended to talk to people. And it really just felt like a regular old video game con. So I understand if you, especially if you're a small developer, you're a smaller video publisher or video game developer company, and you're trying to really network with people and really have these big people see your games, but instead it's like the big game companies, they have to worry about having the best booth for the public, that you really kind of take away from the networking aspect of it. It's because now it's really becoming just a show. So to be honest, I completely get it, because E3 is completely different than what I was expecting. But also, the year that I went to E3 was the first year that it was ever public. I think what really needs to be figured out is, I think that the people who run the event, I don't even know who runs E3, but the coordinators and the people who plan it, they need to really specify, like, is this conference actually for developers, or is it for the fans? They need to be very explicit about it. And as of when I attended, it was clearly for the fans. And I didn't feel like it was for people in the industry at all.
Right. No, I get it. I get it.
I think it's totally fine that it is a public event if they want to turn it into a public event. I just think that they need to say it. They need to say that this isn't really a networking event anymore. It's a video game showcase.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I just hope that this doesn't call other publishers or studios to pull out. it doesn't seem like it's affected Nintendo or Microsoft, since they still seem to be in E3's floor space. But I mean, we'll see. We'll see for the future, because right now I think that it's good that Nintendo and Microsoft can kind of be there to represent, the bigger studios and publishers. Since one of the biggest dropped out, I feel like there's more room and space for growth for them to kind of plan out things that they want to do. Because honestly, Nintendo could just be like, oh, fuck all, we'll just do another Nintendo Direct and just watch it. They technically don't have to be there, but I feel like Nintendo. Yeah, exactly. I mean, they pretty much did that last year, but I just feel like since Nintendo really wants people to interact with their products, they would go through the trouble of, having booths of games out there for people to try and play firsthand. And I think that's a nice touch, because yes, they did have a just all video announcement thing, but at the end of the day, it's all about interacting with the people, because the people want to know the work that goes behind the games, and they also want to play it. So there's no other way to do that than to just be there for the fans, and just to have them physically touch something to get a sense of what it's going to be like.
They have one every quarter, too. Nintendo has nothing to lose, actually, if they pull out of E3. Out of the big three, it's Microsoft that has everything to lose if they pull out, because they don't have an event for themselves. PlayStation could have PlayStation Experience if they ever wanted to. I know they canceled it in 2018 because they had no announcements, but who's to say that they won't have one in 2019? And then there's Nintendo Direct. Microsoft has nothing, I guess, except for releasing press on their own. But if they can take advantage of the fact, because Microsoft is the direct competitor to PlayStation, in my opinion. I don't think it's Nintendo, because Nintendo is a different type of platform. Microsoft could really blow it out of the park for the consoles and the next gen if they really want to.
Yeah, no, I agree with that sentiment. Nintendo in the past was a toy maker, and to this day, they still say they're making toys for people, and it kind of shows in their work and the quality of their work. So I feel like Nintendo is on their own boat, while Microsoft and Sony are just neck and neck on the same boat, just fighting it out.
Yeah.
And I mean, they're all about similar hardware specs too.
Yeah, exactly. So Microsoft, they could make something out of PlayStation not attending.
Oh yeah, they're probably gonna poke a jab at them or something. They're gonna say something about this whole debacle. They're gonna say something about this whole debacle and Sony's pullout. But it's gonna be funny, I think. But honestly, I only care about Halo when it comes to Microsoft and the Xbox system. So I just want them to talk more about Halo Infinite. And after that, it's like, oh, if it comes out on Xbox, it's probably gonna come out on the PlayStation, because the only exclusives that they have are like the Halo franchise and anything that's produced from Rare, such as Sea of Thieves.
Mm-hmm.
But if they announce something like Banjo-Kazooie 3, I'll be like, what? That's crazy. But for the most part, I'm like, Nintendo's going to steal everything from E3, so it's all good. Unless Sega's like, hey, we have a new console. I'll be like, what?
Hey!
I mean, they've been doing so well recently. I'm like, wow, when are they going to announce the next console? But, they've been out of the game since 2003 or something.
Also, there's one more comment that he made, and I thought it was an interesting comment, where Sony wants to make bigger games, but they want but less games, and where the development cycle of these games might take a longer time. Something along those lines.
Wow, then that means Kojima is the perfect man for that system, since
Jesus Christ.
Death Stranding was like announced how many years ago, and yeah. So
yeah.
I mean, whatever comes out after Death Stranding, if it is successful and not totally fucking weird, then we'll see what happens, what comes out of his studio. But I think Kojima's the perfect guy for this whole system if Sony is really dedicated to it.
Shout out to Roku Rangetsu on the Discord wishing us a happy birthday.
Yay.
And Jeremy, if people wanted to send in questions for the podcast, where do they go and how do they follow us?
Well, you can always go to www.downtime.live. click on the contact form. You can send us a comment, question, or concern that way. You can also find us the old-fashioned way. Go to contact@Downtime.Live. Send us an email directly through that mean. You can also find us on iTunes, Podbean, YouTube, basically all your major platforms except for Spotify. Leave us a comment or review on any of them. Leave us a review on iTunes and we'll give you a shout out on the podcast. You can also find us on Discord. If you go to our website again at www.downtime.live, click on the left-hand side. If you scroll down, click on the word community. You'll be automatically invited to a link to join our Discord chat, where we have a small group of people from our community that are talking about video games all the time. Leave us a question or comment there. You can pretty much reach us directly if you join our Discord, and we'll answer within the day. You can ask us direct questions. You can hear our feedback live. So that's kind of a cool feature that I like. I still love our Discord community so much, and even though I'm not as active since I've been pretty busy lately, I'm trying to get more active and definitely respond faster and better. But for the most part, yeah. So that's pretty much everything. Did I miss anything?
Nope, that's it. Thank you for listening to this episode. If you are born in February, happy birthday to you, whether you're an Aquarius or a Pisces.
Hey.
And yeah, shout out to our friend Donovan, who's been on the podcast before. His birthday's tomorrow.
Hey, happy birthday, bro.
Yep, and have a great week. Peace.
Yep. See ya.